Okay, the second item on our King's review is the 30 litre Escape fridge. Now the fridges come in two different variants, and I think it's the Easy Cool, which is the sort of upper level of the items that you can purchase in the refrigeration freezer car camping fridges. So the 30 litre Escape holds roughly 45 cans, I think it is from memory. We don't put a lot of the drinks in there. We sort of throw in some up and go protein drinks, some soft drinks, non-alcoholic beers, and obviously our food, so our steaks and other things like that we need to keep cool. There is a few downsides to this unit which we'll get into in a moment, but in saying that, 4 trips that this thing's been on, it hasn't skipped a beat yet. So we'll go through some of the options, the things that come with the fridge as a unit, which is pretty much the entry level, how the control panel works, what some of these things and stuff are for in the body as well. Alright, so to begin with, the insulated cover, that's an additional purchase. On the day that I purchased this fridge, they didn't actually have them in stock, so I couldn't purchase the fridge with the insulated cover as a bundle. So if you bundle them together, basically at that time it was about $249 for the fridge, and if you got in the bundle with this insulated cover, you would actually get it for $248, so $1 less for the unit, and basically getting that cover for free. But that cover came at a later date with another item. So basically what you're getting is the fridge in a box, and your only power supply you're going to receive with that fridge is the 12 volt or 24 volt. So this fridge will run on either 12 or 24, whatever vehicle you're using. I think you'll find most light commercials to medium commercial size vehicles like your tipper trucks and other units like that will actually be running a 24 volt system. So this will cater for both, so 12 to 24s. That is not an extra, but that comes with the fridge itself, so it's a matter of just plugging that into the front of the fridge here, getting your vehicle, if you want to plug it into the vehicle, or getting your, what we have here is the item that we've just reviewed, which is our 24 amp hour power bank. I'll just put it over here because we've already looked at that item, we don't really need to see it. Plug that into your cigarette out. Just power it up then and power it off, because I haven't actually engaged the on switch at this stage. So power button there, simple as that. Do I need to, that compressor's just kicking in. Now I've still got the plastic protective thing on the actual display there, so what we might need to do is just disturb this camera, that way we can see the actual panel and what's going on. So currently it's sitting at 14 degrees, compressor's going, it's drawing 12.7 volts. I have it on eco mode. Those modes you can switch between eco, that starts to flash, you hit it again, it goes to max. This max, I would say, for me, my opinion would be, if you wanted to get this to temperature pretty quickly and run it at maximum temperature, which is obviously going to draw a lot of power out of that battery, then you could do that. But that's the the setting I would run it on if I had it plugged into the wall, which we'll talk about in a second. But whilst we're going through this control panel, we'll just talk about that. So we can load the fridge up a day before in the garage or wherever you want to set it up, have all your drinks and your food in there ready to go. Get the unit cooled down before you actually take it out to the vehicle and run it off the vehicle power. So it is fluctuating between 12.7 and 12.6. It does have this sneaky little USB-A port on the front here, so if you want a daisy chain or connect a phone charger into there, you can do so. As long as it's plugged into power, that's going to give you power out the front there. The other thing is obviously your power up, power down. So we're sitting at 3 degrees, or we've got it set for the parameters of 3 degrees at the moment. It's currently sitting at 14 degrees. And we can go down as far as, now the parameters of this are, we'll just hold it in so it goes quicker. It's not a dual zone fridge freezer setup, so you're either running at a freezer setting or you're running at a refrigeration setting. So it's one or the other with this. So you can run down as low as -20. Not sure how well this sort of fridge will run at -20 efficiently. Obviously, unless the stuff you've put in there is actually frozen and you've got a very cool climate around you and where this is stored remains quite cool, I'd be reluctant to even try and get it down to -20, let alone sort of anything below 0. I've found the reviews say no, it's not really a thing. Why it runs all the way up from -20 all the way up to +20 or 20 degrees. What could you use this for at 20 degrees? I don't know. I mean, I've not looked that far into it. I just want to use the thing as a fridge. So basically running it, for me, 3 degrees is perfect. Sitting it on eco after it's already been cooled down, plugged into either the vehicle or into the battery unit here. Yeah, so it's kicking in and out there. That's basically the control panel. On the front here we have the tie down points. So we'll talk about the other purchase that I got here in a second about these tie down points. So initially when I went and purchased the fridge, I purchased it as a package or bundle deal with the 24 amp hour battery. That was going to allow me to actually get out and use the fridge for 1, 2, 3 days at the most, running off the 24 amp hour, providing we were operating in cool environment. So during winter, where we are seeing close to that full 3 days of use out of the fridge with the 24 amp hour. 36 would be even better, but 24 is suitable. Probably going to cut that in half if we go into the summer periods. We try to run this on the 24, we're probably going to start chewing through power quite quickly. Bearing in mind that this thing is sitting on the back seat of the vehicle. I have a canopy on my vehicle, but being a mobile car detailer, I don't really have the space in there after I've packed all this camping gear and stuff in the canopy to get going. I don't really have the space to put a drawer slide in, and that brings us to these things here. So there is 4 of these tie down points. So once again, initially I wanted to buy the fridge with the cover as a bundle, and they didn't have them in stock. So my next option was, and it probably would have been the smartest option, was actually go and get it as a bundle with the 24 amp hour. So alone, these are $249. Alone, you're paying $200 odd dollars for the 249, I think they are at the moment, on their own, these 24 amp hours. If you bundle it together, so it's a roughly a a $498 purchase separately. But if you bundle the fridge and the power pack together, I think we walked away paying around about $368, so there's a massive saving to be had there as well. So it made sense not to worry about the insulation cover too much. I went and purchased that at a later date. So when I purchased the cover, I purchased that with something else as part of the bundle as well, but we'll talk about the unit itself. So online sort of research and the hacks and stuff that you can get with the 4Drive Supercenter or the King's products is we found that the seal in the lid here actually sits flush inside that channel, and with that there's an issue that people have found. I'm not sort of picking it up myself, but once this lid's shut and it sits down in the channel of the actual fridge body, this seal isn't sitting down out of that channel. It's actually sitting flush, so all it's doing is sealing around where that seal is. So the hack is that people have done is gone out and got a thicker, higher profile foam seal to bring it out a bit, so when the fridge is actually closed, it's sealing in the channel on the actual body. So that's the next thing I'm going to do. The other thing with the fridge is that it is a reversible lid. It can be removed and it can be flipped, so you've got either a left or right opening lid. That's a pretty good sort of thing going on with that. That's a nice option to have. Another thing that they've found, if these are left in a heated or an area that is warm, these lids can actually start to warp and they won't actually sit flat down with the body. On top here we have some can holders. I mean, they're not deep or anything like that, but it stops the sort of cans from sliding around. I've got two of those. Also have a 16-inch rule on the lid, obviously, so that if you like fishing and you want to measure your fish, anywhere up to 16 inches or 40 centimeters. So across the other side of the lid, you've got a 40 centimeter rule. This side, you've got a 16-inch rule. What else? Yeah, it has a light. This light is run on a sensor. I actually put my mobile phone inside here because it was one of the other things that people were concerned about, and I filmed whether that light would actually turn off. And because it's on a sensor, so as soon as it's dark in there, that does fade out, and I actually caught it on video where it doesn't just turn off, it fades away. So the light definitely turns off when I close that. It does have a drain plug in here. If you've got issues with excess moisture in there, you obviously ever spilt something or you're doing something wrong, that's basically that as a whole. Pretty much the addition, so the extra thing you can go and buy with this unit is a AC adapter. So it has a transformer on there, plugs into your wall obviously, and if you have a solar controller with the inverter and stuff, you can still plug this sort of thing in. It'll convert all over, and then you can just run this cord, not have to worry about either the 12 volt that we've currently got plugged in now going to our power unit. You can use this. So it comes as a two-piece setup that obviously pulls out. This is quite similar to the old transistor radio and the electric shavers. That connection there, these cords are probably easy to go and pick up from something like J-Car or at King's themselves. That just plugs into the end of the unit there, plugs into the wall, and obviously plugs into the front of the fridge the same way that our cigarette lighter inputs work in there. You can also go and purchase an additional, which is the Anderson plug setup, to run the fridge through the Anderson plugs. If you have an Anderson plug set up in your vehicle or your camper, you can run it that way as well. That brings me to discussing how I went about purchasing the next lot of bundles. So when I purchased the AC wall outlet, I purchased that with the I think it was the cover, which basically brung my saving down to purchasing the cover, which is around about the 40 or 50 to $49.95, I think it is. Coupled it with this, and I think I only paid I probably got it for free or paid $1 for it. I haven't actually looked at the receipts, but there is some good bundle deals on offer. That then brings me to, after purchasing that, I decided that maybe I wanted to load this up and use it with a fridge slide. Kings sell the fridge slides for their fridges, so I went and purchased the I'll just turn that camera back this way. I went and purchased the fridge tie down kit, which comes with the 4 shackles and the nylon tie down straps, so that this can be, obviously the shackles clip on to the 4 points on either side of the fridge, and we can get it tied down onto a fridge slide. So when I purchased that, I coupled it in a bundle with this, which is a remote monitoring system. This unit here goes inside the fridge, in between your food and drinks and whatever else is in there, and then you've got this unit where you can keep this in the front of the vehicle. It can be mounted, or there's a little flip down thing here, so it can sit there on a flat surface. You can mount it in your vehicle somewhere, and this is obviously going to give you the fridge temperature, the amendment temperature, and then the differences between the amendments. So whereas you had a high temperature and you had a low temperature fluctuation, it starts, I guess you could say, it records that, and you can set it up for 24-hour I guess monitoring, so that you can see what's happened within the 24 hours. So over that 24-hour period, it's just going to give you the highest and lowest points that sort of run out. Main reason I got this is because I wanted to be able to monitor when I'm driving along. One, that there is no power issues going on, that the fridge is actually still running at its my selected temperature, and that it's only fluctuating so much, and I can get a general idea if that fridge is sitting somewhere where it's too warm and we're starting to chew a lot of power, that I can start to correct that issue. So putting those two items together, that allowed us to obviously save more money. A lot of people just don't see the use in purchasing something like this. For me, it was good, because if I wanted to load the fridge up the night before or the day before, I could come inside, I could sit that on the counter, kitchen counter. I could monitor after I've loaded everything into there that fridge was still running at optimal temperature, was running at the temperature I selected. Anything in there that was put in at a certain temperature remains at that temperature, and we don't have issues with some sort of bio things going on. I guess you don't want food poisoning and stuff like that, but just to make sure that there's no major temperature fluctuations between where you've removed that food from and where you've placed it obviously into this fridge. So that's another good thing that I can monitor, and I'd have used it every time, and I've always looked at it and made use of it, so that's another good thing about it. The body of the fridge, I guess we could talk about that. It has vents around the unit. It has these larger vents on the sides here, where you need that airflow. So it doesn't matter what sort of fridge or freezer. You've got your home fridge or freezer. If you don't have space around it for airflow, obviously going to start running into issues where things will overheat. The fridge doesn't run at its best capacity, and you also start, if it's a defrosting type unit, that you start to have issues with obviously the unit getting too hot it's confusing the compressors and the computers of the fridge. Therefore, you start to have issues with the way it runs and the efficiency of it. So they are just vents that are on the sides, front and the back of it. You've got to make sure that they are not covered in any way. So when this goes into my vehicle, this fridge will sit facing to the front of the vehicle. I can still, I guess, without playing around with this unit here too much, the monitoring system, I can always see in my rear vision mirror while it's sitting in the center of my back seat what those temperatures are doing and how that fridge is performing in the control panel. So so when it sits in between or in the middle of the rear seat of the Hilux, these side ones, this front one, actually have airflow. I do have stuff packed around it, but there's always an area where these vents are always exposed and have the airflow going through them. I think that's it for the fridge. Yeah, so just a few hacks to do with the lid, get that sorted. Other than that, it's been out for 4 camping trips now. 1 to Wallabadar, 1 that I've done on my own, and then the two up to Broke or McNamara Park, where it pretty much ran, the longest it ran for, off that 24 amp hour battery pack, middle of winter to Wallabadar, it ran for 3 days solid. And then we ventured on to Coss Harbour after that. But wherever I sort of, like I mentioned, wherever I've sort of moved the vehicle around, I always plugged it back into the cigarette lighter outlet in the vehicle, so that I was consuming, saving power in that unit there. So I'd say 2.5 days solid. In the middle of winter, we got really good power supply out of that 24 amp. That brings us to the end of that one.